like to call on Iris Lightfoote, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Race Equality Council. Yes, we've got that right. And she's going to speak to us on the same subject of social justice. So, Iris.
Good evening, everyone. I've been told the subject matter tonight is about social justice. What is it and how do we get it? Well, if social justice is the ability for people to realise their potential in society, if it's about ensuring that individuals both fulfil their roles in society and receive what is due to them from society, if it's about fair and proper administration of laws for all persons irrespective of their racial origin, their gender, their sexual orientation, their mental and physical ability or disability, that they are all treated equally, and if it homes in on the institutions which have been established to improve the social development and advancement of this country's citizens, such as education, health, labour, and the broader social policy services, how's it currently looking? If we look at education, certainly in Leicester there is an educational underachievement amongst black young men, and it's higher than the national average. If we look at health and the diagnosis of mental health, this is of significant in terms of racial minority communities. It actually bears a significant consequence because the numbers are larger in racial minority communities than it is in the wider population. And in fact, there's a report that was written and was published yesterday, this week, from the Time to Change group, which recognises that individuals who are suffering from mental health have a double whammy if they're from racial minority communities. And one is about the diagnosis in terms of differential treatment or unfair treatment, and the other one is about their racial origin. So we have a double whammy when it comes to those of us who have got a mental health condition. If we take the labour rights, here in Leicester, racial minority communities are suffering disproportionately in terms of their access to employment by comparison to the wider community. In fact, a study from the Black Training and Enterprise Group found that young people between the ages of 16 to 24 were 34% more likely to be not in employment, education or training by comparison to the wider group. And that report actually identified a couple of recommendations. One of the recommendations was to encourage young people's engagement with trade unions from an early stage, because they say that's only then that they'll become aware of the support systems that there are in existence when they are experiencing unfair treatment at work. And it's also about them learning how to work in collective action. If we talk about public services, and I will concentrate here specifically on Leicestershire Police, we can talk about the disproportionate outcomes when it comes to, the disproportionality in terms of stop search, because racial minority communities have been stopped and search significantly higher than the rest of the population, to the degree, even though it's come down, and it's come down significantly, but you're still 3.6 times more likely if you are black, and 1.2 times or 1.3 times if you're Asian, to be stopped and searched by comparison to a white population. What we don't know is the results of those stop search in terms of individuals who end up in court and or are charged, whether the charge is as a consequence of the stop search or whether the charge is because of the stop search. To explain, if you come and stop and search me because you have a suspicion about something that I've done or I'm about to do, and that is realised, having searched me, that's one thing. If you come and stop and search me and I challenge you for stopping and searching me, and you then get irate about that and you charge me for being obstructive, that's something else. So what we don't know is, does the charge relate to the initial thought around the stop search? Does that make sense? Based on all of these ifs, I would suggest that the Race Equality Centre is pivotal to realising social justice. And I'm deliberately speaking about race and race equality because that's the area that I work in, but I do not undermine at any stage the other protected characteristics of gender, disability, sexual orientation, religion, and age. The Race Equality Centre's mission is to actively promote and seek to implement a racially just, fair, and equitable society which will enhance the quality of life for all citizens of Leicester and Leicestershire. The services that we offer to fulfill that mission includes community development, public education, policy development, advice, support and representation, training and research. But what do the major activities around the services look like? Examples include the work that we do with local councils to tackle discrimination and disadvantage. And here we have provided training to departments within the Leicester City Council around, say, recognition of immigration statuses, so that we're in a position to say to them, these are your rights and these are your responsibilities around individuals who are presenting to you with a particular immigration status. We have also worked with the County Council to create virtual teams or virtual panels to look at their new and emerging policies and practices in terms of race, religion, and sexual orientation. And to do that, we have worked with two other organisations. One is the LGBT, Leicester Lesbian, Gay and Bisexual Centre, and the other one being the Equality and Human Rights in Charnwood. The work with public sector to make full use of the positive duty under the Equality Act has been undertaken with us making recommendations and observations to the City Council in relation to their budget equality impact assessments. We've responded to the City Council's equality impact assessments, and we provided observations to the Police and Crime Commissioner's Police and Crime Plan. And we've also delivered briefing to the on the public sector duty to the Clinical Commissioning Group. We've worked with local and private sector in order for us to ensure that they are engaging in an exercise which sees the equality of outcomes. That is when individuals come to us because they believe that what they've experienced is as a result of their racial origin. We will work with them and their employer to come to a mutually beneficial understanding and/or assist them to take action. Another area of our work is about ensuring that we are closely knit to the communities that we say we are working for and on behalf of. And to assist with that, we have engaged with in excess of 114 voluntary and community sector organisations. And we've done that in a way which allows for them, the organisations, to actually have a voice and a say in what's happening to the policies that are being created in their name. So we have actually worked through and submitted responses as a consequence of the assembly, as we call them. We've submitted responses on the Leicestershire Enterprise Partnership Strategic Plan, the Home Office review on the use of stop search powers, the Leicester City Council's infrastructure review, the Leicester Police and the Office of the Commissioner's Joint Community Engagement Plan, and the Leicester City Council's homelessness strategy. We have also engaged in integration work with new arrivals, trying to assist them to become a part of and to recognise that they are integral to Leicester City. We have developed employment development around employability development to assist individuals to get into jobs. And we have developed business enterprise programs for those individuals who want to become self-employed. In a nutshell, we have helped 1,120 individuals in the year 2012-2013. We've helped them to obtain their rights in housing, immigration, welfare benefits, race discrimination, racial harassment, complaints about the police, and access to education and health. We've helped 592 individuals in the same period with business development. And we've helped 60 individuals to improve their employability skills. In terms of trying to seek to change public attitudes and to make racial discrimination socially unacceptable, we have engaged in an initiative to develop a heritage educational and instructional and entertainment centre. This is expected to be an interactive and multimedia centre, which will bring about promoting the education of and research into Britain's black, that is African, Caribbean and Asian population, demonstrating their contribution to British world heritage and civilization. Because whether a number of people out there believe it or not, we have a significant contribution, we have made a significant contribution to the heritage of this country. But, as an example of the work we've done with members of communities, and I'll cite this example as a case in point as to why we're in the current situation we're in, and we will target and focus on an outer area estate. We have had an individual come to us with his colleague as a consequence of being signposted from the Federation of Muslim Organizations, and this individual, who was the senior member of a Muslim organization, was sharing with us that he was experiencing, he and his community were experiencing demonstrations and confrontation as they entered their place of prayer and their place of education. They asked us, the Race Equality Centre, to come to that location to actually see for ourselves and to monitor what was actually happening. When we got there, we had to drive very slowly through quite large numbers of people. We had to listen to, what's the name of that man?
Nick Griffin.
We had to listen to Nick Griffin spout what he would spout to the individuals as they were walking in, but he was talking to the audience who were applauding him. We chose to meet with the chief inspector and the superintendent to ask them to work with us to ensure that this stops. We chose to meet with local councillors and local city council officers. We had meetings at the Race Equality Centre with individuals who from the estate who wanted to talk to us but were too scared to talk to us on the estate. We went to the area on a Sunday morning, knocked on doors and talked to individuals within the area about what was happening, some of whom were disappointed that it was happening but were too frightened to say anything about it. A meeting was then held in the area by the group. We were attended alongside, and so were other organizations and individuals. We were trying to find a way forward. A number of recommendations were made and resolutions came out of that meeting. The Race Equality Centre was asked to send the resolutions to the local councillors or two councillors in the City Council. We did. The response to our intervention in this way was to see the creation of a hardened and disjointed review of local infrastructure organizations. This review, which was supposedly done under the guise of making savings to the budget of local infrastructure organisations, was actually done to ensure that the City Council was able to remove its funding from the Race Equality Centre. We know this because the package that is being put forward to replace us includes securing contracts with organisations which are not in the review, offering them the opportunity to give a figure as to what it will cost for them to do the work with new arrivals. They're also providing extra monies to other currently contracted organisations to take on additional race discrimination and racial harassment cases. This engineered outcome is suggesting also that there will be a light touch to community cohesion. The idea being to remove the voice of race equality and to replace it with a number of disjointed but grateful groups. Simon Woolley from Operation Black Vote spoke about the demise of racial minority organisations, and he said that there was a curse that is being witnessed by many, or on many racial minority voluntary sector organisations, with large numbers disappearing, between 50 and 60 race equality councils across the country over the last 3 years. However, social justice imposes on each of us a personal responsibility to work with others to design and continually perfect our institutions as tools of personal and social development. Social justice seeks to ensure fair distribution of wealth, equality of opportunity, and no gross inequality of outcome. The Race Equality Centre is significant to that design and to the monitoring and challenging, if appropriate, of that design. The intended removal of the Race Equality Centre is just one way of quietening those of us who choose to say that the emperor is as naked as the day he was born. Thank you.